Hello and good afternoon, it's Phil Thatch and I'm downtown on Main Street, downtown Chattanooga. Going to do a little street photography. I've got the Z6 and the 85 1.8 is what I'm going to start with. Got a bunch of other lenses because I always carry too much stuff. And I've got a buddy with me. David, Georgia photographer, rock hopping Saylors is here. And we are going to see what we can do in about 2 hours of photography. This is really exciting. This is our second co-video.
Yeah, collab. Yeah, we'll call it a collab.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know words. Words are hard.
Yeah.
But let's
We're
get
from
started.
the South. You got to give us a little room here.
Well, let's get started.
Just going, dude. Come on.
So David and I left the parking lot where we were hanging out there and started heading towards the choo-choo, and I made a photograph of these two nice ladies walking along the side of the road. And then we got across the street from the choo-choo and I made a photograph of this gentleman riding his bicycle down Market Street in Chattanooga. And then as we entered the actual choo-choo, I made this photograph of the Chattanooga sign with the Chattanooga choo-choo train. And my favorite part of the whole photograph is the clouds and David over on the left-hand side of the frame. You can barely see David, but he is there. Okay, so David and I are at the choo-choo now. Whoa, it almost fell down. And this is the Chattanooga choo-choo, world famous Chattanooga choo-choo. And really a lot of stuff to photograph here, but not a lot of stuff to photograph here. So we're gonna kind of keep moving. Meanwhile, David is taking pictures of my stuff. Pretty dog. So we left the choo-choo and walked around kind of on East Main a little bit and maybe behind East Main, and I got this photograph of this gentleman pulling his dog along. And then here is a decorative old bicycle hanging up in the courtyard area of a restaurant in Chattanooga. It's the first of two bicycle photos in this. And then we made our way back over to the choo-choo, kind of came in the back way of the choo-choo, and I made this photo of David, who was making a photograph of a lamp in between the two trains. And by this time, David's kind of like, man, why are you taking my picture so much? But I didn't let that hold me back. I just kept on making photographs here at the choo-choo. And then we went inside the choo-choo, and this hallway in the choo-choo has a bunch of photographs made by my friend Amy Kenyon. And I wanted David to see them, and as he was observing them, I made a photograph of David. And then here is the beautiful bathroom, men's room, inside the Chattanooga choo-choo near the lobby. And I think it's just beautiful in there, and it's almost always empty, so I made a photograph. Okay, so David and I have been all over the place. I'm not doing a very good job documenting what we've been doing. We're back at the choo-choo. We've been all over there between Station Street and Main Street, all those areas, and taking a few pictures. It's cold, it's rainy. We're just having a good time hanging out, and now we're gonna go someplace else and hang out some more. So right after I recorded that clip, we walked away from the choo-choo, and both of us made photographs of this gentleman and his dog, but David asked to make an up-close photo, so I made a photo of David making that photo. And then just a block or so down the road is this beautiful row of trees that I love to make photographs here, especially with the 85 f 1.8 at 1.8, and I made a photograph of David there. Okay, as we walked a little bit closer to what's called Warehouse Row, I made a photograph of this gentleman as he walked across the street, completely into his phone and not observing his surroundings. David and I both saw this gentleman walking down the road, and we both kind of got in position to make a photograph, and it was David who suggested that the photograph should be right in front of this window, and he was exactly right. He's a more experienced street photographer than I am, but it worked out really great, and I cropped mine to kind of take advantage of the light post and the reflection of the light post in the window. And like I say, this is probably my second favorite photograph of the day.
They've changed the expire schedule.
Here is the second of two decorative old bicycle photos in this video. This one is near the alley with the umbrellas that both David and I feature from time to time. And here it is, my favorite photograph of the entire video. This gentleman crossing the street with his fancy suit that probably costs as much as my camera, talking on the phone. Just it's probably, you know, quitting time for him. He's probably talking to his wife, trying to figure out what they're going to do after he gets off of a long day at work. And I just really like, with the wet road and the bokeh, how this one turned out. I like this one because of all the color in the background and because I documented it with the GoPro on top of the camera. I wish I had documented the previous shot like I did this one. Well, we are still walking around and making pictures in Chattanooga. I think we're on, I don't even know what road we're on. We're at the intersection of 12th and Broad at the TVA building, basically. And we're continuing to walk around. I think we're about done. David's got something he's got to do. And pretty soon I got to pick sweet Miss Heather up at the airport. But we continue.
The loom keep going. We're down here with the TVA, and we're heading back to the car now.
Well, as you could probably hear in the previous clip, I only made one shot at this angle of David, and I love this bokeh, and I really love everything about this shot except for I happened to catch David while he was blinking. I went around to the other side of David and made another shot of him while he was vlogging with his GoPro and his Rode Video Micro and his Lume Cube light, and this one turned out pretty good. The chances of two photographers walking around with cameras and not pointing the cameras at each other is pretty slim, and David and I ended up doing just that. We took a picture of each other. And then this is while David was doing his outro clip. I wandered off, probably shouldn't have, but I saw this lady coming out with her two dogs, and she had a bag full of poop in her hand, and I asked her if I could take her picture, and she said yes. So I made this photograph right in front of the famous polka dotted wall where lots of people come and get their pictures made, and I've never seen a picture like this made there, with really the focus is the fence separating the happy lady with her puppies from you that's on the sad side of the fence. I'm not sure what he's a-doing, but he's a-doing something.
Oh, I've got daggum eye tracking on.
That happens.
Turn that crap off. No, that don't do it. Okay to exit. All right, there we go. Now, they put tracking back on this front of this camera. I'm still focusing.
That thing's got a good close minimum focus distance for sure.
It just focused again. How close am I to this camera? I'm focused.
Pretty close. The camera can focus on you too, by the way, I noticed.
Just past it. Right there's minimum focus distance. How close am I?
Pretty close. I'll get your picture. I had already started my outro video when David decided he was going to make a really close photograph of my vlogging camera, and you can see just how close the minimum focus distance is on the Nikon 24-70 f4 S lens for the Z-mount cameras.
It was using face tracking, and it was locking onto the camera like it was a face.
It does. Maybe it thinks it's an animal.
Yeah. Weird.
All right. Well, we have. What have we done? We've walked all over Chattanooga. Not all over, but quite a bit.
Pretty much.
Quite a bit of Chattanooga, and it's getting to be time where David's got to go do some things. I got to go pick up Heather from the airport. But we had a great time for our second
collab.
Our second collapse.
Yeah, collapse. Yeah.
But we appreciate you watching, and hope to see you in the next one.
What do you need to do till then?
Gycotap.
Get your camera out and go take a picture with it. We'll see y'all later.
Bye-bye. After I parted ways with David, I still had a little bit more time before I needed to go pick Heather up at the airport, so I kind of hung around down here a little bit on Broad Street in front of the Tivoli, and maybe a little bit down the road from here, and did some panning blurs. I had the 50mm f1.8 during this part of the evening after David had already gone home, and I had some time to kill, and I really liked this photograph of this gentleman riding his bicycle down the street. There's some yellows and purples and just beautiful light in the blue hour. And then I think this picture would be better if it was like a Corvette or something, but it's kind of cool with this. I don't know what this is, maybe a Chevy Cobalt with a smashed up hood, just beautifully in focus with this blur as it drives hubcapless down the road in Chattanooga. I made quite a few of them, but only I think one or maybe two came out okay. I was trying a new technique, you know, panning blurs after dark.